Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the We Run on Coffee podcast. I'm Marissa.
And I'm Arika.
And we have some really fun episodes coming up. Lots of research is involved in these next couple, like just podcast episodes in general. So stay tuned because they're all going to be so exciting.
All the content, guys.
Yeah. But Arika, what are you drinking this morning?
Okay, I have a regular drink right now, but for our next episode, everyone stay tuned. It's a very special episode next episode, so I have a special drink.
I was really thinking about that too, and I was like, I want to have a really special drink.
I did. I picked something I've never had on the pod, or in life. I've never had it.
Oh.
But right now I'm just having, you guys could probably guess, my brown sugar mocha breve.
Oh, yum.
Yes. What about you?
I have just a regular like oat milk latte, but I got a new creamer and it's cinnamon coffee cake.
Is it the Chobani?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I've seen everyone try that. It looks so good.
It is really good. I think Chobani's been kind of hitting it lately with like flavors. Yeah. They're like super like on brand. Like I feel like cinnamon coffee cake isn't like a super summer flavor, but all of the other ones that they have like right now, they have like mint chocolate chip, which like feels weird to me. They have cookie dough, which I think would be delicious, but I can't find it anywhere. And then they had like this cinnamon coffee cake, which is giving like a little fall, and I think it's like just a little sneak peek I need.
I love that. I know I've seen everyone try that and say it's so good. So I need it.
It is very good. It's like, I'm not a big cinnamon gal, but it's like just sweet at the beginning, and it kind of gives you like the vanilla-y flavor of like the cake of a coffee cake, and then at the end it's a little cinnamony.
I'm a coffee cake girl in general. I usually get a coffee cake every year for my birthday, and I just love it.
I love coffee cake too. So
good.
I didn't know that about us. I didn't know that we were the same on that.
I get a cherry coffee cake every year on my birthday.
I've never had cherry, but it sounds so good.
Anyways, all right. Well, let's catch up.
Okay.
Has it only been 1 week? Yeah. It's only been 1 week, you guys. We've seen each other recently. I was like, my list is feeling pretty short today, but that's okay. So I guess I'll just start us. I'm back at dance.
Yay. I saw that on your calendar for like 3 days in a row, and I was like, she's going hard when she goes back.
I know. I was so happy because you guys know I was on the cruise, and then I've literally just been busy every week. It's like, oh, this week we have dinner with Oma. Like, I have to cancel one. Oh, this week we have a birthday dinner. I have to cancel it. So I finally went back. I ended up only going to 2 of those 3, sadly. But next week is going to be my first week back at hip hop in a long time. So I'm excited.
Is it going to be like, is it going to be Miles there?
Yes. Yeah. He just started doing again, beginner and intermediate. He used to do just intermediate, but now he does both again. And now I like that because I could decide what song I want to do. Because his beginner and his intermediate are both like a good challenge, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because he's so freaking good.
He is very good.
Know how to be a beginner. He really doesn't.
No.
Then, okay, what did I write? Oh, Buffalo Wings and Rings. Okay. Have you ever eaten at Buffalo Wings and Rings?
No, but I've definitely heard about it.
Okay, so I just have to share this.
Maybe I have been there. I don't know. I'm unlocking a memory.
Good. It's so good. I'm going to share a life hack, I guess, for the lactose girlies because, okay, so after our last lactose intolerance episode, I can't speak for some reason. After our lactose intolerance episode, I was inspired because we were talking about the cheddar, and I was talking about how I only eat that one cheddar just because it says lactose free. And I was like, okay, fine. We can probably branch out. Like, let's try. So I was like, all right, we're going to try this Parmesan fries that they have at Buffalo Wings and Rings because they used to be my favorite of all time. When I tell you guys, they're so unmatched. I just can't explain it. They're called Parmesan garlic aioli fries. So they have a garlic whatever aioli. So if you guys don't know, aioli usually doesn't have milk. It's like mayo based, and mayo doesn't have milk. So that's safe. And then it has Parmesan on it, which is said to be one of the cheeses that has low to no lactose naturally. So we tried it, and I ate an entire large order. Not because I wanted to test it that bad, but because they're so good.
You couldn't stop.
Yes. So I ate like half the box, and then like Angela's family was here, so his brother and his sister. Actually, it's Amelia's favorite. That's why we ordered it.
Ooh.
So we all had a bunch of fries, and then we were playing video games, and I made brownies for everybody, but I don't like brownies. So I was like, I need dessert. So then I ate the other half of the box of fries. And I have to tell you guys, dessert. Yeah, it was. And I have to tell you guys, I did not get sick once. And I was so happy. So I was like, okay, Parmesan marked safe. Check.
Yay. I'm glad that you're able to like start to, I think because of the research that you did for this episode, I think that you're like more willing and like ready to start 100%. Adding things back in. And I think it's going to be very terrifying because you're going to have to probably get sick once or twice.
Yes.
But I think it'll be really like cool to like start adding things back in.
I think so too. I'm excited because I'm like, listen, it's science, baby. You can't argue with it, you know?
Exactly.
And if I find one that makes me sick, even though it's not supposed to, okay, then I don't eat that one, you know?
Yeah. That one's just weird with you and it doesn't like you, and that's okay.
And that's on it, not me.
Yeah.
That's not my problem.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So, okay, my only other two things, I don't know if I said this on the pod, but I was just going to share that I'm going to New York City. I already told this to Marissa, but going to New York City in a couple months, so that's exciting. And I think we're turning it into a family trip because AJ, Angela's dad, was like, yeah, I really want to go. And then he might have Dominic and Amelia and Vernita and Lauren go, so it might be a little family weekend, which will be fun. And last thing, yesterday was my best friend Cree's daughter Willow's birthday. I told you guys about this last week, and I went yesterday. It was her third birthday. It was unicorn theme. So cute. I got her a little like golfing set, like a kid's golf bag, you know, because her Cree's boyfriend Tyler, he golfs, and I sent her a picture of the toy because I never know if she already has stuff, so I always have to send pictures before I buy it. So I sent Cree a picture and I was like, does Willow have this and would she like it? And she was like, oh my god, Arika, Ty has been begging me to buy her one of those, so I guess you should buy it. And I was like, okay. So then I bought it. I showed up to the party and Ty was like, hey Arika, Cree showed me what you got, I'm so excited. It was so cute. And then Willow, when she opened it, she jumped up and down and screamed, so it was so cute.
I think you won. I think you won the birthday party.
I have a little picture, so I'll put on the Instagram stories, you guys. I wrapped it so cute. That was my first flex, and then her jumping up and down was like a pretty big win, I have to say. Especially because everything she opened, if it had clothes in it, she would just take the clothes and throw them at Cree, and then if it had toys, she would open the toy and be like, ah!
Yeah, she's like, Mom, take these clothes, I know that you deal with those, that's not my problem.
Exactly. She's like, this is not for me, this is I guess for you. But it was so cute, so that was really fun, and that was my yesterday, and it's been a chill weekend. And today I'm going to a market near us. So we have this market called Cool Wines, I don't know, for whatever. It's like a little farmer's market, and they have a farm and stuff. And I think they do like pumpkins in the fall and all that. And it's so cute, but I've never been there. And I'm like, okay, why have we never gone to this market? Like, we've lived around it for so long. So let's check it out. So I think we're going to go there after this, and I'm excited.
That's how I feel about like
cheese.
Yay. That's how I feel about like all of the like farmers markets and stuff. Like I really want to go, but then I like can never find the right information, or I find contradictory information, and I'm like, oh, this is so annoying.
Yes, and this place it's a small business, so it's very like weird hours. It's like today it's 11 to 4, yesterday it's like 10 to 5, and during the week it's like, I don't know, 12 to 2. I don't know, just like weird hours that I'm like, okay, we have to go today.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's all for me. What's new with you?
So we were supposed to have softball on Wednesday, but again it stormed, so we didn't.
Boo.
So we have yet to have a softball game, and we're 2 weeks into the season.
That's
TBD on if we have a game this week. We will see, I guess. But that was like the only thing I did during the week. I worked a lot of overtime this week, so I was pretty like chill, trying my best to be chill at least and not do too much during the week. And then yesterday I went to bottomless brunch with the girlies.
Yes. Oh my god, all the Instagram content, all your guys' stories. I know.
I was trying my best because I was like, Arika inspires me to post more when I'm out, so I was trying.
It was so cute. I loved it. I went on Instagram after the birthday party and I was like, oh, I've been missing everything. Marissa's having so much fun. It was so cute.
It was so much fun. So we had a last minute on accident like battle of the transportation.
Oh boy.
Brooke was coming from her new apartment, which is like pretty far away now, so she had to take a different metro line. I was metroing. Owen and Mara were supposed to meet me at the metro, but they completely misunderstood the time that I told them. I told them that we had to meet at this metro stop at noon. They thought that meant they needed to leave their house at noon.
No.
So they woke up at 11:15 and I was leaving at 11:30.
You were ready. Yeah.
I was like almost ready. And then when I left, I missed the first train. So I had to sit on the tracks for 11 minutes while we waited for the next train to leave.
Yeah.
Brooke missed 2 trains on the way, and then Owen and Mara ended up just Ubering, and out of everybody that like me and Brooke left so early, we're trying to be prepared, and then Owen and Mara like leave last and they got there first.
Of course, that's always how it goes.
It was so silly. And like when I told them that like my ETA was like originally going to be like 12:45 for like the 1 p.m. reservation, but then when I missed the train and everything, it ended up being like 1 o'clock on the dot, and I was like, at least I'm not like late, but this is so annoying that they were going to be late, and now they're here on time.
Yep. So true.
It didn't make any sense, but we went to a place called Johnny Pistola's, and I think it's like only a DC thing, so sorry, I can't really recommend this for anybody else in the world.
If you visit DC.
Exactly. It was pretty cool. It was a pretty small place though, and we went, and one of the people that we went with, Mara, she's gluten-free, and the person at the very beginning asked us if we had any dietary restrictions, so we said like, oh, she's gluten-free, and because of that, he brought us everything on the brunch menu that was gluten-free, and we didn't even have to order it.
Oh, that's so nice. I love stuff like that.
It was so
spoiler
nice.
How I got treated on the cruise, and it was so wonderful, like with
that's so
them
good.
Accommodating, allergies. It's so nice.
Yeah, we didn't even expect that. Like we ordered, like he was like, do you want to start with like chips and dip or whatever? And I was like, yeah, beautiful. That sounds delicious. And then he brings out like that, and then he starts bringing out like other things. And I was like, what is this? Like, what's going on? And he was like, oh, I just brought out everything that was gluten-free for you guys to share. And I was like, are you kidding?
Nice.
So then we didn't even end up like really ordering anything ourselves because we just like all ate the gluten-free stuff that came out. And it was delicious. We got a lot. So instead of them like bringing you like just a glass of like champagne or like a glass of your mimosa, they brought you a decanter of champagne and like little decanters of juice to put in with it. And for some reason they didn't bring orange juice. They just brought pineapple, cranberry, and then mango like puree.
Okay.
And I mean, it was good.
They said we're only bougie here.
Yeah, it was good. It was just interesting that they didn't have like the classic orange juice to mix. Yeah, right. But we went through so many decanters of champagne. There was 4 of us there, so like it was expected that we were going to go through like at least a couple, because we were only, with the decanter amount, we were really only able to fill up like our champagne flutes like maybe 1.5 times.
Oh, dang, yeah.
So that's why we ended up getting like so many decanters brought out. And then after brunch, last minute, we decided to go to a rooftop bar. And when we went there, we like met up with one of Brooke's friends, and then he brought his other friend that like Mara like has a crush on. And
so juicy.
I know. So like
Love
they
that.
were all like hanging out, and then me, Owen, and Brooke were like, we want to go. So we got an Uber, went back to her apartment, and then we just like sat there for like an hour or so just talking.
But so nice.
It was a really, really fun day, and I didn't get home until like 8:30.
Dang.
Which
that's a day.
I know. I didn't think I was going to be out that long, and it was so hard to wake up this morning. Not because I was hungover, just I was so tired.
Yes.
And
it's exhausting.
My feet are blistered. I was wearing like my Steve Madden
the
platform sandals.
Yeah. Oh God.
And my feet are like blistered around the edges because I don't know whose feet they made those shoes for, but mine are too wide. I'm pretty sure because they like go over the edges, and it's like,
God, that's painful.
So like just the edges of my foot are blistered, and they're like so comfortable otherwise, so that's really annoying that happened. But that was my recap from yesterday, and today I'm going to a baseball game, so I'm currently like wearing like a tube top and shorts and like ready to go, but it looks like I'm naked on camera.
Yeah, I for sure thought Marissa hopped on here naked. I was like, okay, this is what we're doing now.
Yeah, naked
completely
podcasting.
I'm like, oh, you're naked. Okay, cool. Love it.
Yeah.
Empowered.
No, I do have clothes on. You just can't really tell because
so
the
funny.
Zoom like screen is like our like camera angles or whatever, and then it's a black bar, and so like the black bar just like zooms in with my shirt.
In. That's funny. For me, you're on top of my screen, so I can see your shirt.
Oh, perfect.
Don't worry. That's so funny. Well, okay. Love to catch up. I'm glad it was a little bit shorter today because you guys, we have seriously a lot of information to share with you guys, and I'm really excited about it though, because I think this will be a majorly helpful episode. And I also am so excited for this to go on YouTube because I think people really search for this on YouTube. So hopefully,
I agree.
If you're hearing this and you're from YouTube and you've never heard of our podcast, welcome. We really hope you stay. Please subscribe. But yeah, we're going to talk today about our cruise experiences. So now that Marissa and I have both been on a cruise, I was like, okay, this is perfect. Marissa went on a Norwegian cruise last year, if you guys remember, after her wedding. And this year I went on a Royal Caribbean cruise. And I thought, what better time to compare and contrast those two experiences, the cruise lines, the cruises, and the destinations, because they are all completely different from each other. So we literally, you guys, I made 3 pages of a document. I sent it over to Marissa and I said, fill in your blanks. There is so much information. So we're just going to dive in. Actually, I do this sometimes, so I'll do that today. I'm going to tell you guys really quickly the categories. So we're going to talk about basic cruise info, so like information about our boats and stuff like that, the cost of the cruise, traveling to and from where the cruise was, All inclusive. What does it mean? Our room, like what our room was like. Shows, entertainment, activities, and amenities, food, and then pros and cons of cruising. Those are the overview categories. So if you're just tuning in and you don't want to hear any of that info, then I'm really sad for you to leave, but you should stay. It's going to be fun.
You can also zoom forward, rewind, fast forward, whatever you want to hear.
Whatever you need. Sorry, I can't give you timestamps because we're recording it right now, so can't tell you. But I'm going to start now with the basic cruise info. So we're going to just start with the questions that I just spoiled, apparently. What cruise line did you choose? But also, why did you choose it?
So we chose Norwegian, and it was honestly because Kyle was looking on Expedia and found a deal.
Okay, we love a deal. I think that's a good reason to choose.
Yeah, all of our stuff, I guess I'll preface this up front, all of our stuff, including maybe not flights, I'm lying, just the cruise was booked on Expedia. So
okay, no, that's interesting.
We booked it through there, but the flights, I think I booked through the actual flight website, and then we had an Airbnb, spoiler alert, later on, but we booked that on Airbnb.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm on my calendar as well, but that's good to point out. How was that experience? Sounds like it was fine.
Yeah, it was good. We've done stuff like that before. I think if we're going to especially when we were on our road trip, we would just look up on Expedia the town we were on our way to, and we would just look up, because sometimes it'll show you destinations in that area or things to do as well as places to stay. And sometimes I think it's it kind of works like a blog for the area, even though you can use it to book travel.
Okay, so since you're saying that, I want to shout this out for any military people out there. This is something I just recently found, and it's basically a military version of Expedia, but it's all military discounts. So you just confirm you're in the military. You have to do your whatever. They have to confirm that you're actually in, and then you can use the website, and it's all the places that offer a military discount. So it's called AmericanForcesTravel.com. I really don't want to tell you guys. I want to gatekeep it, but I think everyone needs to know because it's really, really good deals on it. So I was that's cool.
I think that'll be really interesting for my parents to know, especially because they go on a southern road trip, and my dad was in the military. So
your mom definitely listens, I'm pretty sure. So
yeah,
shout out. So yeah, check that out, Beth. AmericanForcesTravel.com. It's pretty nice, and it's just like Expedia. It's hotels, flights, experiences, same kind of thing.
That's so cool.
But yeah, okay, so we chose Royal Caribbean, and why we chose that is because we went with my cousins who cruise frequently, and that's the cruise they picked, and they were like, you guys want to come with us? Here's the info. So we just were like, yeah, we'll come with you. They also are a fan of Royal Caribbean. They like the experience. They've tried Carnival and I think some other ones, and I think landing on Royal Caribbean has been their favorite, so that is why we picked that. Cool. And I'm so happy we did because I really liked it. Spoiler. Where was your cruise and how long?
Ours was the Mediterranean, so the whole region of the Mediterranean, and we'll get into each port in each city later, but it was 10 days total.
So long. Mine was 7 days, and ours was Eastern Caribbean. Okay, cute. Do you want to tell us your cities?
Yeah, so we started in Rome, Italy. So whenever you start a cruise, normally the first and the last port isn't actually an excursion or
You just
a day at that country or that city or whatever. It's just where you get on and off, but you can definitely get there a day before or get there hours before and explore that city. So it started in Rome, Italy, and then we had a day at sea. We went to Santorini, Greece, and then we went to Piraeus, Greece, which is close to Athens. So we took transportation into Athens. Then we went to Mykonos, and then we went to Katakolo, Greece, which is just the port closest to Olympia. So we transferred we got onto different transportation and got up to Olympia. We went to Valletta, Malta, which is another really small country in the Mediterranean area. We went to Messina, Italy, which is on Sicily and not on the main part of Italy. Okay. And then Naples, Italy. And then technically Florence, but Florence is 2 hours away from the port. So we went to Pisa because it was a lot closer. So we went to Pisa, Italy, and then that was the final stop, and we made our way back to Rome.
I couldn't believe when I was looking at this how you only had 1 day at sea. You guys reported every single day. That's actually crazy. I was like, whoa, because we had a couple sea days, and we would have preferred more. Like we really liked the sea days for a reset.
Really?
So that's really interesting. Like we had only 2 days of port back to back, and we were like, oh wow, this is exhausting. We need a break in between.
Wow.
So that's really interesting. Okay, so ours, it was so like Marissa said, where you start and end is just where you start and end. You don't really do anything there. But ours is starting and ending in Cape Canaveral, Florida, which is where NASA is. And that's really cool because you can watch launches from the hotel or like from the port if they have them going on. So Cape Canaveral, Florida. First day was at sea. Second day was at Puerto Plata, Dominican Republic. Third day was Grand Turks and Caicos, which was incredible. So those were back to back. And then we had the next day was a sea day. Following that, we had perfect day at Coco Cay, Bahamas. And then the next day we got off. So nice and short.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had, I think commonly my cousins were saying they like to have a port day, a cruise day, a port day, a cruise day, a port day, and then get off or whatever, like alternating, which is really nice because it was nice to have a reset. When we had one of the sea days, it's like you don't feel as bad exploring the ship or like sleeping in because you know you're just going to be on the boat all day. Like you can't get off. So you're not going to miss anything. Yeah. So that was really nice. But
I think I think it'd be interesting for me to try one like that. I really enjoyed having somewhere to go every day.
For sure. That sounds super nice.
And like that the boat is big, but the boat isn't that big. So I feel like I would get a little bored.
Yeah.
After like a couple of days at sea because I would like run out of things to do or I would just find myself frequenting the same places.
Yeah. So what occasion did you cruise for? Tell us.
My honeymoon.
Yes. We cruised for vacation. Boom, done. Easy. We're gonna compare our ship sizes. So I was really excited to see this. Actually, our ships were super similar in size.
They were.
Looks like we were almost on the same size boat, which is actually really cool to compare.
Yeah.
So I was on the Royal Caribbean Adventure of the Seas ship. And we included stats here, so they might mean nothing to you or they might. I just wanted to say them anyway. So the gross tonnage of the Royal Caribbean Adventure of the Seas is 137,276 gross tons. What's the R?
I don't know.
GRT. Oh, guys, I'm so sorry. I should have been a little more prepared. I'm going to Google that really fast.
Gross record
something
tonnage. I don't know.
Gross. It's just, they just say gross tonnage. Maybe just GR for gross.
Maybe.
Okay. The length of that boat is 1,020 feet. The beam is 157 feet wide, and it holds 3,114 passengers, which is the probably more important number that is a little bit better to visualize. And that says double occupancy. So I'm assuming that means that if you have double rooms, that's how many people can fit on the boat.
Yeah, that's what I was assuming too when I read that. It's like there's like 2 people per room at least.
Yes. Okay, cool.
Okay, so I went on the Norwegian breakaway ship and mine was 145,655 gross tons. So just a little bit bigger than Arika's boat. Mine was 1,068 feet and 4 inches long.
I love the 4 inches.
I don't know why it was there, but it was.
Hilarious.
The beam was 130 feet and 3 inches. And then mine could hold 3,963 passengers at double occupancy, which is quite a bit more than yours for not being that much bigger of a ship.
And that's kind of something I'm interested in once we get to the pros and cons, because we kind of had an opposite pro and con, and that might explain why. Yeah. But do you remember how many decks there were on your boat?
17.
Oh, okay. So we had 15. So
okay.
That makes sense, I guess. But
the top 2 were like outside.
Oh, Does
that make sense?
Yeah, our 12 and 13 were outside, but once you get up to like 15, that was like the Skylight Chapel. And so you can go all the way up there, which it was beautiful, but it's tiny because you're like all the way up in that tiny little piece of the boat, like that little tiny piece. It's not like a full size floor.
Yeah.
So that was interesting, but.
Well, okay. Yeah. So like, I think floor 16, I think there's 17. Yeah. So like floor 16 was like kind of inside, kind of outside. Like there was an inside and an outside portion. And then floor 17 was just outside.
Okay. That's interesting. I mean, ours was kind of the same. It's just those were lower.
Okay.
Than the top 2. But okay. So then my question is to you. Did you like the size of your ship? And if you cruised again, would you try bigger or would you try smaller? Or what are your thoughts?
I thought the size of the ship was good. I thought that it was huge. I knew that cruise ships were gigantic. I just didn't know how gigantic, I guess, until I was on it. And it really just felt like you were in a moving resort, which you are. And it was just so interesting to see. I think that I'd be willing to try both bigger and smaller. I think that if I do a smaller one, that would be really cool and interesting, just like not have so many people. But if we did bigger, I think that it could feel like there was less people on there too.
Right. I agree. I really liked the size of our ship. I was like, oh, this is actually a nice size. I also thought it was huge. And then our cousins informed us that's the smallest boat they've ever been on. And I was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
This to me feels massive. But I liked the size. I would try a bigger ship. I would probably not want to try a smaller ship. Like maybe I would do it, but I wouldn't want to. I liked the size and I did not feel like I wanted to go smaller. I don't know. I didn't feel like our ship was overcrowded though, which is really nice. And again, that might be due to the passenger limit that they put on it. Even though our ships were really close in size, ours felt really doable. I never felt like people were like on top of me, thank God. But yeah, I don't think I would want to try smaller because I don't know, I liked the size we had. So
I find it really interesting that you say that was the smallest boat that your cousins had ever been on, because I'm pretty sure that the Norwegian Breakaway was the biggest ship that Norwegian had until their new Icon of the Seas launched this summer. Yeah,
the Royal Caribbean Icon of the Seas is fucking huge. Let me show you guys.
Well, Norwegian just came out with another one this summer. Maybe it's not called Icon of the Seas, but
let's see what the Norwegian new cruise ship is. We'll tell you guys. Norwegian Aqua.
Oh, and Norwegian Viva. That's the one I was thinking about.
Okay, so I'm going to pull up Royal Caribbean Adventure of the Seas size so I can show you this, because I was also looking at it compared to other Royal Caribbean ships. Like my cousin said, it was the smallest one they've ever done, or maybe the second smallest. I don't know. But I'm going to show you this. Hopefully you can see it, and I'll post on the Instagram. These are their classes, and then these are all individual ships listed. So there's a shit ton, and this is the size we were on.
Okay.
So there are still like, I don't know.
How did you look that up? Because I'm curious if there's one for Norwegian.
Oh, I'm sure there is. All I did was I Googled Royal Caribbean Adventure of the Seas size, and I looked at images. So Norwegian Breakaway size is what I would search. And then look at the images and see if you can find like a chart.
Oh, there is. Mine was the third biggest, I guess.
Let's see. Okay, Breakaway. Okay, now they have Encore. So now it shows yours is the fourth biggest. Do you see this one?
Yeah.
I don't know if you see that. So they have the Encore, which is the biggest. Bliss, Joy, and Escape are the second biggest. Epic is the third. And then Breakaway and Getaway are the fourth.
Okay.
So that makes sense.
Yeah.
So about the same. Ours had like 3 classes that were bigger than it.
Okay.
So there you guys go. We were not in the biggest ships you can get. That's for sure.
No.
Which is crazy because they did feel so huge, especially to a first-time cruiser. I was like, this place is huge.
Look at what my boat looked like. It had like graffiti on the side.
That's cute. Love that. Okay,
so
we saw a couple Norwegians and they were really cute. There was like a Norwegian like Jade, I think it was called. It was so cute. I was like, oh. Anyway.
They're so like decorated.
They are. They're so cute. All the royal ones. It's funny how all the ship brands or fleets or whatever you want to call them, like you can tell just by looking at it before you even see the name. You can tell what it is. Like you can tell a Carnival from a Royal, from a Norwegian, from a Margaritaville, whatever.
Yeah.
So cool. Also another shout out. We're going to go into the cost of the cruise. So this is where I'll give this shout out. I've been looking at military benefits if you can't tell. Okay. So Margaritaville has this incredible deal. This will work for you too, so don't even worry. This is called the Heroes Exclusive. It's for healthcare workers, Kyle, military, police, first responders, and educators like teachers. You can get a free cruise for 2 people. So he could go in here and all you have to do is, I don't know if you've heard of this. You have, because you use it. I know you've used it before or seen it. ID Me, the ID Me software thing where it's like verifies if you're in military or healthcare, whatever. You use ID Me to make sure that you're in it, and then it will give you a free cruise for 2 people. All you have to pay for is the taxes. Literally free. So
I could have my mom and dad go, and me and Kyle.
And we can go, and Bernita and Lauren could go.
Yeah.
And so many people, and Julie she's a teacher. I was oh my God, this is like crazy.
And I think Kyle's mom might count as a first responder or something.
Or a healthcare
worker because she's a pharmacist.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be, I'm like, that would be so amazing. So there's 2 cruises. They do a 4 to 5 night Caribbean, or they do a 2 to 3 night Bahamas, and it's just free as long as you can like accommodate their dates. They obviously pick the 2 times a year. But I thought that was crazy. So shout out to that If anyone's listening and you're like in one of those categories, I would for sure
that
look
is
into it.
so cool.
I know. And it's Margaritaville. Like the ships are so fun looking.
Yeah.
Like they're
Do you
so
just
themed.
like look up Margaritaville like first responder cruise or something?
It's called Heroes Exclusive. It says Heroes sail free and first, but I was at margaritaville@sea.com. Never mind. I'm not going to read you this whole URL. It's really long, but just Google Margaritaville Cruise Heroes Exclusive, and I think it should come up.
Okay.
And
I'm just going to keep it saved so I can look later at the dates.
I also can't figure out the dates is the problem. It's like, I feel like I need to call someone or something because I can't figure out when you click on the button to like book the cruise. It's like, oh, yay. Book it for the 4 to 5 night or book it for the 2 to 3 night. And they both just say July 10th on them. Oh. And one says July 10th Monday and one says July 10th Wednesday. And it doesn't say what year. July 10th
so
obviously over. So I don't know if it's for next year. I can't figure it out. But aside from that, it looks freaking awesome. So I want to do it.
It says updated July 12th, 2024. So like this has most recently been updated.
I'm assuming that it means July 10th for next year. Like once you click on the button. But you have to click purchase and then you have to put in your email. And then I don't know what happens after that.
That is so interesting.
So maybe I'll do that and just test it. We'll see what happens. But yeah, maybe we'll go on a Margaritaville cruise. That'd be fun.
Maybe.
So anyways, going into the cost of the cruise, I'll just go first because mine's on here first. So I'll tell you guys, my cruise was for 2 people, me and Angelo, and our total cost was for just the cruise itself was $2,263.70, and that included our room, our all-inclusive stuff, which I'm going to lay out later, and tips. We prepaid our tips so that we wouldn't have to tip people like room service and waiters and all that. We prepaid it so we wouldn't have to tip them like with cash or whatever in person, which was so nice because I was like, oh, we don't have to think about it. We already tipped everybody the amount that Royal Caribbean like gives them. I don't know. It calculates it out for you, which is really nice. So that was our total, $2,200 just about.
We also had something like that, but I didn't know how to find it. So I just have the baseline cost of what it cost us for our room and the all-inclusive stuff that we had included. So ours was $4,014.50. So almost double what Arika and Angelo paid. But I think that because it was farther out of the United States.
Yeah, and longer.
And because it was longer, that's where like that cost comes in.
And more than double ports.
Yes,
like you guys had a lot of
very
ports.
true.
So
yeah, we had 9 out of 10 days, and then you only went 7 days and had 3.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, that makes sense. So that's our cost of the cruise. We're going to break it down for you guys. Don't you worry. But just want to give you guys the quick overview. So next thing we're going to talk about is traveling to the cruise, right? Because unless you live in the city where your cruise docks, which would be really freaking convenient, you have to get there. So for myself and Angelo for the cruise, what I said earlier is that we left from Port Canaveral in Florida. So because of that, we had to drive to Cleveland from Columbus where we live. And then we had to fly from Cleveland to Orlando. The reason we did that is because we saved literally hundreds of dollars on flights. And I was just looking at this again for New York. I was looking for Angelo's dad to fly from Columbus to New York. It was like $250 or $60 from Columbus, $118 from Cleveland. So it's like,
that's
okay,
insane.
He's buying tickets for him and his kids. If he's going to pay for multiple tickets, I'm like, drive to Cleveland. You're going to save so much money, even though it kind of sucks. So anyways, we drove to Cleveland. We flew out of Cleveland to Orlando because that's the closest airport you can get to Cape Canaveral. And then we had to Uber to Cape Canaveral, which is about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on traffic. So not ideal. I wouldn't like choose that, but it's literally the closest you can get. So that's what we did. We stayed in Cape Canaveral for 2 days. Again, we went early because the flights were that much cheaper that we could get a hotel for an extra day and we were still saving money. So it was like, all right, we're going to do that. And then we boarded the cruise. Once the cruise actually ended, we Ubered from Cape Canaveral back to Orlando back to Cleveland, and then we had to drive 2 hours home when we landed, which honestly, we underestimated how bad that was going to suck because we hadn't slept. We got back to Cleveland at like 8 a.m. We had left Orlando at like 6 a.m, which means we were at the airport since like 4 a.m. It was just horrible. So don't recommend the driving, but we did save a lot of money, so I guess it's worth it. Our round trip flights. Okay, so now I'm going to break down the cost of that little experience, you guys. So our round trip flights, we were on Frontier Airlines, Cleveland to Orlando and back, whole thing, $355.92. That's for me and Angelo. So you guys can see why we chose that. Literally the cheapest we could get.
You're all gonna have a fit when you hear how much my flight was. But
I had to get the international flight. Ooh.
I know.
We stayed at a hotel called Radisson Resort at the Port. So you can tell that that's very port coded, if you will.
Yes.
So they work with the ports. They're very familiar with it. They have a shuttle that takes you back and forth. It's really convenient. So we stayed there for the 2 days, and I only ended up paying $244.09. That's because I had a gift card from my work, because I collected like a bunch of points at work. So shout out. So I paid $244.09 out of our own money for that. And then for the shuttle that I mentioned, did I put that on here?
No. Yes.
Oh, never mind.
Wait. Yeah, in transportation. It's yours, not the next bullet point, but then one after that.
Oh, I just included it in that. Okay, never mind. So I was like, I thought it was like $25 or something, but I included it in a total. Okay, for our Holiday Inn Orlando International Airport, an IHG hotel. I'll just say the whole thing in case anyone wants to stay at this hotel. It was fairly nice. We paid $68.75 for one night, and again, I used a gift card. I think it was more like $100. But that was just where we kind of stayed. I say kind of because we returned from the cruise at like 10 in the morning. So when we got off the boat probably. And then we had to Uber back to Orlando. That was probably an hour. And then we checked into the hotel, and we were leaving the hotel, like I said, at 3 in the morning. So it was like we kind of spent the night, but it was still worth it, I think, to have somewhere. We took like a lot of naps and ate a lot of food.
Yeah.
So just somewhere to relax until our flight. Okay. And now I have our transportation. So this includes gas, driving to and from Cleveland, our shuttle to the port from that hotel that I mentioned, parking at the Cleveland airport because we had to park for 7 days and leave our car there, which again, still cheaper than flying from Columbus, which is nuts. And I just totaled all of that up, $392.09. And then I have our other categories because you guys know I'm a budgeting crazy person. So I literally just have all this.
This is why Arika has way more categories than me for this part.
I literally wrote it all out when I got home, just for my brain. And then I was like, oh, perfect for the app. Eating out in Cape Canaveral and in Orlando, $220.82. That's just for like a few days of eating out because obviously we didn't have any food. And then we had to buy sunscreen. Such a random one. But I thought of this once we got there. We didn't have enough sunscreen. And then I was like, oh shit, we should probably buy it before we get on the cruise, because if you buy it at the cruise gift shop, it's probably really expensive. So I asked my cousin Pam, and she was like, yeah, do not buy on the cruise. Let's go to Publix and get some right now. I was like, okay. And then she was telling us, make sure it's reef safe, which I didn't know that was a thing. But she was saying that a lot of the ports, they won't let you take it off or bring it back on if it's not reef safe sunscreen. So keep that in mind. We spent $17.10 on like 2 bottles of sunscreen. So all of that to say, the total that we paid for things that were not our cruise, so all the stuff I just named, flights, food, transportation, whatever, that was $1,298.77. And then if you add the cruise into that total, it gives us a grand total, or a total, as I called it, the total of $3,562.47. And then I did just divide that by 2 people. So me and Angela, what we paid per person was $1,781.24 for 10-day vacation. And that's like everything included. So that was about what our total was.
So fun.
Phew. I'm out of breath.
Are you ready for mine now?
I'm ready.
Mine is less detailed, but a lot more stuff. So we got on the metro from the Franconia Springfield metro station in DC, and we metroed all the way to the Dulles International Airport, which is about an hour and 45 minutes worth of metroing.
That's a lot.
And then we just did that because we didn't want to pay for an Uber, and we have the option of public transportation, so it was a lot cheaper. I don't know exactly how much rides are because they're not a standardized cost. It depends on like how many stops you go, what day of the week, what time of day. So that was really hard for me to like kind of see how much, because normally I'll just reload my Metro card with like $10 at a time. So I could say it's like $10, but it could be more or less. Who knows? So then we flew from Dulles International Airport to Lisbon, Portugal, and we took a connecting flight from Lisbon, Portugal to Rome, Italy. So this flight was, I think we got on at like between 7 and 10 p.m. I don't remember exactly when it was. And we ended up in Rome around 10 a.m. the next day. So there is like a a 6-hour time difference between here and Rome. So we just like slept overnight and we ended up being there like the next morning, and it was perfect. So that was pretty good. And then we had to take how did we do this? Because we had to go back and forth to the airport because of the bag situation. So we took a train to an area closer to where our Airbnb was. And then we stayed there for like an hour, and then we had to take the train back. And then when we got back to the airport and got our bag, we then Ubered to our Airbnb again. So lots of back and forth. In Europe, they don't have Uber, actually. They really only have cabs. So just make sure that if you're at the airport, they're all going to be $50 to go anywhere. So just give them the $50. Don't negotiate. Don't look for anybody else. Just buy the $50 cab and go. And it's especially from like the Rome airport to go to downtown Rome, it's just $50. That's what they charge you. It doesn't matter time of day or anything, so just give them the $50 and get in their car. And then so we stayed in Rome that one night, and then we took a train again the next morning to the City of Vecchia port, which is a little bit south of Rome. So with all of that, we kind of like took a lot of trains and stuff, and transportation in Europe that is not Ubers is pretty cheap. I would say it's like between $3 and $5 to go like 45 minutes on the train. So that's a pretty good deal. I just, again, still don't know exactly how much it was because it did vary on like time of day and like kind of like how the metro does here. It varies. Almost. Yeah. So... But the trains were so clean. They were like double, triple deckered. Like it depends on like which train you were on. And they have the announcements in like Italian and in English and in a couple of other languages. So if you ever get confused,
just wait on your language.
Just wait on your language. And they also have a screen that like kind of shows. So I know that you've been on like the metro here. It's a little bit different than New York City. Like New York City, you just have to listen. But here you can like look at a screen and see how many stops you have left. That's kind of how the trains were in Europe.
Love.
So now to get into the cost breakdown that I do have, our round trip flights for 2 flights to Rome and back, including the connection in Lisbon, were $1,531.52.
It doesn't seem that bad for an international flight.
It wasn't that bad because I found them on sale for like $670 a person.
Nice. That's awesome.
And I bought these flights a year before we left. So I know typically, I think the rule of thumb is like 6 weeks before your flight is when flights are the cheapest.
Oh, interesting.
I found these and I was like, I'm not waiting to buy these tickets. Like this says that they're cheaper on average, so I'm going to get them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then for the Airbnb in Rome for only one night, it was $208.15. That is a bit expensive for like lodging in Rome, but we were right down from the Trevi Fountain. We were right in the center of everything. We were literally in like one of those apartments that's above like restaurants or shops and stuff. And it was a really cool, like historic, just tiny apartment room. And I thought that it was really cool to like be close to everything. So we did end up paying a little bit more for that. And then we did have to convert US dollars to euros before we left, which was also almost a tragedy because we went to a Chase bank and they said, our like location doesn't carry euros. So we had to like find one that did. So they called around and they told us which one we could go to. So then we had to drive all the way there. And
so that was in US or there?
In the US. So
okay.
I would highly recommend converting your currency before you leave,
you go.
Because the US has like a lower exchange rate, I think, depending. I think it's really dependent, and we went just like through Chase Bank because that's who we bank with. So it made sense to just like go and convert our euros there. But we had to go to like 2 different locations, and it was like the day before we left. We were getting like real nervous about everything because if they didn't have enough euros, they weren't going to be able to convert our currency, and it was a mess. So make sure you do this at least more than the day before you leave.
Yeah, I didn't know you could do that here, so that's interesting.
Yeah, you just have to make sure you call your branch and you're going to the correct branch.
Make sure first.
So we converted $1,000. I'm pretty sure it was between 500 and 1,000, and that was just cash that we had got from the wedding. So we took all of the cash that we got from the wedding, and we took it, and that's what we converted.
Good idea.
So we didn't like use any money that wasn't like a gift for that.
Oh, I love that.
Yes,
that's so good.
So thank you, Arika, for doing all
I
of
just
this
did the math while you were
me.
talking.
But the total of outside like cruise costs that I have here is $2,739.67. So the total, as Arika calls it,
total
$6,754.17, and that equals about $3,377.09 a person for a not 10 days. I think longer. It was 13 days with travel.
Love.
Yes. So definitely more expensive than Arika and Angelo's, but again, we went to
different
Europe
caliber.
And you cruised out of the United States, and we did it for a honeymoon, so it was of course allowed to be more expensive.
Yes, of course. No rules when it's honeymoon.
No, of course not.
Okay, so the next part we're going to dive into, and hopefully we get this all done. Sorry it's so long, you guys, but I also don't care because I think it's such good info, and I wish I had this. Like, I wish I had this before I went on a cruise because I did not know what I was doing personally. I was like, don't know what to do. So we're going to talk about all-inclusive. What does it mean? Before I went on the cruise, I was like, okay, all-inclusive, like food's included, ? I just didn't even get it. I knew what it was supposed to mean, but I'm like, what is it? Like, really? Any food I want, I can get? Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk about what was considered all-inclusive on our cruise. So now you've heard the cost. We didn't pay, I don't think, pay any more than what we said. Like, I didn't spend any money on our cruise ship that wasn't something that was included. So we're going to talk about like a broad overview, and then we'll break it down. So for Royal Caribbean, what was included in that price that I told you was the room, most food, and most drinks. So I wrote it out. It was black coffee, water, tea, lemonade, and juice. That's what's included. If you want soda or alcohol, those are the things that cost more for ours. So yeah, what about you?
I don't know why I thought that you had two sections here. I just can't read. But for Norwegian, it included our room, the majority of food, and most alcohol and drinks on board. So you could we got like the all-inclusive drink package, which means like alcohol was included. So with that, we got like any like standard liquor and any standard like beer, seltzers, wine,
nothing
whatever.
More fancy.
Yeah, but if you wanted to like level up and have like top shelf, then you would have to pay more for it. But like we didn't.
Interesting.
So we didn't do that. And then by most drinks on board, there was a Starbucks on board that was not included, but you could buy an additional package that was $11 a day to be able to get unlimited Starbucks drinks for free. But we didn't end up doing that. But so I did go to Starbucks a couple of days on board still.
Nice. We did have a drink package, which I guess I'll talk about in the food section. But okay. I'll skip that for now. What wasn't included in our stuff. So mine was, what's not included in that price is excursions. Any excursions you want to do, you have to pay for those. Special restaurants or food upgrades. So like at the regular dining room, you could upgrade to like lobster or like a prime rib or something. Those would cost extra if it wasn't formal night. And then drinks like alcohol and soda. We did not buy the alcohol package, which I'll talk more about in the food section. And again, soda. You had to have the soda package to get like pop or whatever.
The only things that weren't included in ours were excursions, and then they had 2 like specialty restaurants on board. Yeah. And I guess I should have included this in what was included. We also got like 30 minutes of internet use per person.
Oh,
we didn't ask for it. It just like was available in our package. And then we also got we got 1 specialty dining credit per person. So we were able to go to one of these specialty restaurants one night for free. Yeah. And we also had a $200 like offshore credit, but we didn't end up using that because the only thing we could have used it for was an excursion, and they were still more than $200. So like we didn't want to use it. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think that might have been it that was also included of like extra stuff. So when I say like excursions and the special restaurants weren't included, we were able to go to that specialty restaurant at least one night.
Yeah, that's really nice. And now I feel like you guys, we're going to dive into like what exact foods we had and all that. And I think this is giving you guys a good illustration of why Marissa's was a lot more expensive as well, because they got alcohol package and they had alcohol every day. Like that's an extra cost, or getting the credit, or getting the $200 off-board credit. Like those are things we didn't get. So that's really nice. Might justify a price difference as well.
Yeah. And you'll see in our room difference, which you're about to hop into.
That's true. For your room, what kind of room did you have? Did you like it? And would you go with that kind of room again, or would you try something new?
We had a room that was like on the front of the ship. So it wasn't like on the sides, or it wasn't on the interior. It was like all the way on the front end of the ship.
I know what you mean, yeah.
When we looked out our one window, we were able to like see where the ship was going.
That's cool.
And it was really cool. I didn't really care that the window was there. We had like a little seat in the window where you could like sit, and I would sit there and like read, or I would like sit there while like Kyle was sitting in bed, or like we'd both like sit there and like cuddle with each other on like the little like you could think of it as like a bench, I guess, like a bench where
little nook.
Yeah, a little nook.
That's cute.
And we did have like that one window, and I did like it. I think it was cool. I would find it interesting to see what it's like on the exterior walls, like the outsides of the ship, to see like what's going on along the sides. But I think if I was in one of those rooms, I would get motion sick, because I would just see the water going by all day. And those ones had balconies, which were cool. Yeah. But I don't know if I would ever use it. So I thought it was cool to be like on an interior front facing window.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that that's what kind of room you guys had. So that's cool. I remember seeing those. Ours, personally, like the ones of your room on our ship, were overlooking the helicopter pad where we spent a lot of time. So I could stand on the helicopter pad, turn around, and see those portholes of those people that had a front room, just like a little bit higher up. So that's interesting.
Nobody was allowed.
That's a cool view.
Nobody was allowed on the helicopter pad, so there was never anybody in front.
Oh, wow. Interesting. We loved it. They had benches like bolted down on the helicopter pad, so you could go out and just stand there, and it was just open. That was like probably Angelo's favorite part. You could look at the stars. That was insane.
That's so cool.
Our room, completely different vibe. We went very, very cheap here. So this is the cheapest way you can get on this cruise, which is interior stateroom, and you don't get to pick. So interior stateroom means no windows, all walls. You're on the inside of the ship. And then we also didn't choose it. So like they assigned it to us a couple days before the cruise left. That's the cheapest you can go on a Royal Caribbean, is just like a non-assigned, or I don't know what they call it. It's called like, the ship assigns it for you, interior stateroom. So I kind of didn't like it. When we first went in, I was like, I didn't think I was going to feel claustrophobic, but now I do. And I don't normally feel like that. But when we walked in and there was no windows and it was just like a tiny, tiny shoebox dark room, I was like, I don't know if I like it. The pro of that was we slept really well, because it was so freaking dark every night. Con of it, again, felt a little claustrophobic, but it was kind of, I do think it was kind of worth it, just because it was really, really cheap to go that route versus getting another room. But I told Angelo I would prefer to try a balcony room sometime, even if I had to pay a little bit more, just so I could see the outside, because I think I would like seeing the outside, because I wouldn't feel so like trapped and confined in. So that's how I felt about our room. I don't know.
Our room was really also huge. So
oh wow, ours was not.
When we walked in, I was expecting it to be like that tiny little shoebox that you were talking about, but like I was blown away with how big it was.
Dang, that's nice. I would have liked some room, but we didn't spend any time in our room, and I probably wouldn't even if we had a bigger room. I don't think, maybe a little bit more, but probably not. I liked just being out and going to sit on the helicopter pad rather than sitting in my bed or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really spend too much time, but it was like if we were waiting to like port and we didn't want to like go and do anything else, we would just sit in our room, because they would announce like when the groups could leave. What floor was your 6. Room on? Okay, we were on the 10th floor.
Oh wow, high up. We were on 6, and I know that, and I can remember that forever, because our room was 6669. I was like, wow, it has 666 and 69 in it. Wow.
That's hilarious.
So 6669, keep that in mind for one of our upcoming episodes that I'm going to Just tell you. Maybe that means something. Okay, we got to finish this up. So we only have a couple more sections, you guys. We're getting close to the end, but I want to talk about really quickly, still on the topic of all-inclusive, we're going to talk about shows, entertainments, activities, and amenities. And I will say, at least for me, maybe for you too, this does not include everything because I couldn't think of everything. I just wrote down like
mine doesn't
stuff
either.
I remembered, but there's so much always going on. So I'll just go quickly. For shows on our ship, we watched an ice skating show because they had an ice rink. We watched an orchestra, and they just did covers of like movie tracks and stuff like that. It was really cool. And then we watched a couple singing and dancing shows. So like basically like theater shows, plays, if you will. Some were singing and dancing specifically, and then I think there were some that were like actually acting. I don't know. For entertainment and activities, they had ice rink. Like I said, they did open skating. Bring socks. If you're thinking about going on a cruise that has an ice rink, bring socks because they won't let you do it unless you have socks, and you don't always think of bringing socks to like a tropical place. So
that's so funny.
Keep that in mind. We did not ice skate. I kind of wish I did, but that's okay. They had a sports court, so that had like wave runner, putt golf, water slides, rock wall, that stuff. And then for activities, they had a whole bunch, and I think this is across all cruises, game shows. Big thing. So they had like Karaoke Superstar, which was really, really good, people, and we like voted on them. Family Feud, Minute to Win It. There was Love and Marriage, which is like the really popular one I know we talked about before when Kyle and Marissa played a game. Blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Lots of game shows. That does not even include all of them. And then for amenities, the ones I could think of at least was they have a spa. Super nice, but holy shit, I don't know if you looked at spa prices while you were on your cruise.
So much.
Oh, like $600 for just a massage. It was like, okay, cool. They had a casino. We did not go in it. And then they had, or we walked through it, but we didn't like go. And then they had shopping. And that's all I could think of, but I'm sure there's more.
Yeah. So for shows, it was a lot of the same, except I would say the only difference with ours is like we had a musical on board, and it was Six the musical. So it's about like the Six Wives of Henry VIII. It was really good. We went and watched it, and I thought it was so good. And then the entertainment and activities, it was a lot of the same. We had water slides, a rope course, hot tubs, pools, a basketball court. They called it a sports court, but all they had up there was basketballs and like maybe a soccer ball.
Funny.
So I don't want to call it a sports court because that wasn't entirely true. And then the amenities was a lot of the same. So we had a spa, gym, casino, nightclub, and shopping. And I put nightclub there because I think that could be like entertainment / just like one of the bars that was on there. But there was one that was specifically a nightclub. Oh, that's cool. I forgot to talk about, we also had the piano bar thing on there. Cool. And that was only a couple of nights, but it was really fun to like go to that. The couple nights they did have it.
That's really cool. A couple of yours reminded me of some. We did have pickleball courts, so that was kind of unique and cool, especially with pickleball being super popular right now, I feel like. And basketball as well. But then also, you read something else that made me think. Oh, there was a comedy show. I just didn't go. So they did have stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
And actually, my cousins went, and they said it was surprisingly really good because they were talking about how on cruises, usually the comedy's pretty crap. Yeah. But they were like, this was actually really funny. So impressive. Okay, so now we're going to go on to food, and then we'll get to the pros and cons and wrap it up. But for food, I want to just name really quickly like all the restaurants and dining areas that we can and explain the type of restaurant it is. So I will go first really fast. On the Royal Caribbean Adventure of the Seas, we had Cafe Promenade. So the Cafe Promenade was a cafe, but you could walk up at any point and just get like pizza, kind of like how they have at Sam's Club or Costco. They literally just had big pizzas in their little heating thing at all times. You could get pizza, wraps, sandwiches, subs, and that one was maybe 24 hours. Could be wrong, but I feel like that was open all night. You could literally get pizza anytime you want. And then desserts. So that was Cafe Promenade. And then right next to Cafe Promenade, we also had a coffee place, and it also was a Starbucks. So like I mentioned, we had a like a coffee package, but I know, Marissa, you were saying $11 a day, right, for your guys's for unlimited. What ours was $30 total for the card, and then you got stamps, and it was 10 stamps, maybe 15. Okay, I don't know, something like that. But each shot of espresso you order is 1 stamp. So if you get a drink that has 2 shots, it's 2 stamps. But also, I don't know, that's what it said online, but once we got there, they told us iced drinks are 2 stamps, hot drinks are 1. Done. So I was like, okay, whatever. It worked really well. It was totally worth $30. It was, you know what, it's 15 stamps because I remember it was $2 per punch when we divided it out. The reason I will say really quickly too that we did not get our drink package is because the drink package On Royal Caribbean, it's like $84 a day per person or something like that. So we would have had to drink 8 to 10 drinks per person per day to pay it off. So we decided to not do that, and we did use onboard credit. So when we booked our cruise, I should have said at the beginning, we got $150 of onboard credit just as like a promotion or whatever, and we just used that for alcohol, and it was perfect. Anyways, that's the Cafe Promenade and the Starbucks. And then we also had main dining rooms. There are many because there's lots of people on the ship, but you just get assigned one and you can only ever go to that one. They're all the same, and they're all connected. So it's just like a big open room, 3 floors up, and you can like look down and see other people eating. So it was just a big main dining room that you would go in for dinner every night at your scheduled time if you choose to. I think you can skip it, like nobody really cares. But you go in at your scheduled time. Ours was 5 p.m. every night. Sit down with your family at your table. You get the same table every day, and then you get the same servers every day, and they like remember you and take your order, that kind of thing. So we had like a seated dinner every single day. But also for those dining rooms, you can also go during breakfast and lunch, and you just get placed wherever. Like you don't go to your table, you just go in, they put you wherever, and a random server will come and serve you breakfast or lunch. If you want to do seated, you don't have to. And we did that maybe once or twice for breakfast only. So those are the dining rooms. I don't think they really had a name. And then the last place on our boat that you could eat was called Windjammer, and that was the big buffet, which I think is a common thing. So they do a breakfast, lunch, and dinner buffet. They just close and reopen. They have like an hour of being closed, and they switch over the cuisine for like the time of day. And also, the very last thing you can do is room service. So I don't know about your guys's, but I was excited to see this. Room service is free if you bought like continental breakfast, so like anything that's not heated. And then if you want to get a hot breakfast, like you want to order like pancakes or whatever, $7.99, and you can order whatever you want. You could order the whole entire menu and just pay $8, which is still really good. We just did it for free, and I got like donuts and toast and granola and that kind of stuff. So that is all of our restaurants. I feel like so out of breath from that.
Oh, you're going to be blown away because I have 10 times more restaurants.
And we had all the fancy restaurants, but I didn't go to any, so I don't know what they were called.
Okay. I'll go through all of like the ones that were included in the all-inclusive, and then I'll talk about the ones that were like available for like the, I guess, like food upgrade, or we got the specialty dining credit. So the first one on here is O'Sheehan's Bar and Grill. So it was just like an Irish pub, and that one you could just... What?
We had something like that too. I didn't go there because it cost money, but okay, go on.
Okay. Well, this one was like, this was the only place on board that was open 24 hours.
Okay.
Our buffet wasn't open 24 hours. So if you wanted like late night food, or if you wanted to like go for like breakfast or anything, like they just had like a rotating menu. You could walk in whenever. And if it was busy, they would give you like a pager, and like you could just like wait or whatever to go in. Okay. So that was like the place that I think that we ate most often. And then they had a place called American Diner. So it's just what it says. It's an American diner. Yeah. I don't think we ever went to this one, but it was an option and it was complimentary. Then we had the Garden Cafe, which was our buffet option. They would change out the food like 3 times a day, depending on what kind of food that you, like what time it was or whatever. So that was also complimentary. And then we had 2 like sister restaurants, which were called Savor and Taste, and they were right across the like way from each other. Mm-hmm. And at those ones, it was also complimentary. You would get an appetizer, an entree, a dessert, and a drink, all for free. Yeah. And you would just like take whatever like you wanted. And then there was Shanghai's Noodle Bar, so it's just like an Asian restaurant on board. And then I think that's it. Oh, the Manhattan Room. That was another complimentary like dining place, and it was really similar to like Savor and Taste, and you could just like go in there and order from the menu whatever you wanted. So those were all of our included options for food. And we had nothing like what you were talking about with like a certain time or anything. You would just go and you'd walk up and you would say like, hey, I want to eat here, like any restaurant. And they would like be like, okay, you can, or okay, you can't, not right now.
Yeah. Okay.
So for our specialty dining credits, they had a seafood restaurant called Ocean Blue. They had a Brazilian steakhouse called something that I can't pronounce. So the Brazilian steakhouse.
Nice.
They had a sushi bar called Wasabi. They had a steakhouse called Cagney's Steakhouse. They had a gelato place that you would have to pay like per whatever. They had a Italian restaurant called La Cucina. And then they had a French restaurant called Le Bistro. And then they had a hibachi place called Tape teppanyaki. I can't say it. And then they had another like raw bar, whatever.
Okay.
It was called the Raw Bar, and it was like another seafood place.
Okay.
So those are all of the specialty dining on board that you would have to pay a la carte.
Right.
But with our specialty dining credit, we went to Cagney's Steakhouse, and it was just like we went to like Taste or Savor, and you got to order a like appetizer, an entree, a dessert, and a drink, and it was all included.
That's lovely. I just pulled up our paid restaurants so I can be accurate, you guys. Because we didn't go to any. We didn't get a credit or anything. We were like, not worth. But they have somewhere called Chops Grill. Don't know what that was. Sounds steakish. Giovanni's Table, Chef's Table, and then Azumi, which was like sushi. And they had a really cute excursion that you could pay for, which was a make your own sushi class. It was really cute. Angela wanted to do it, but it was like expensive.
Yeah.
And then they had Johnny Rockets, if anyone's familiar with Johnny Rockets, just a regular one up on the sports court, which kind of made sense. And then they had a couple of things like Solarium Bistro. Did you guys have a solarium or like an adults only pool?
No.
So I was just about to wonder what stuff we had that you didn't, because it sounds like you had way more restaurants. And I was like, where are they putting these things? So I wonder if that's taking up more space, because we had Solarium, which was an adults only pools and hot tubs and bar, which was really nice. Regular pools and bar. But then also, ice cream you can get anytime at the little ice cream machine, just like soft serve. But I was trying to think, I thought there was something else that we had that maybe your cruise ship didn't have. Oh, did you guys have like on our 5th floor, it was called the Promenade, and that's where all the shopping and restaurants were your guys' like all together like that?
No, the restaurants were scattered everywhere.
Some of ours were, but most shopping and then just like a couple restaurants were on the main 5th floor, and that's called the Promenade, and that's where like the cafe was, the Starbucks, like everything right there, which was really cute because it's almost like a little city. And our cousins actually had a room over the Promenade with a big window, and when they opened up they could see the Promenade, so it was like an interior room with a big window, and that was really cool too.
That is cool.
So, okay, I put explain your day. So we'll try to go quickly, but I want to talk about where we most often ate. So I will say that when we woke up in the morning for breakfast, we would either plan to meet our cousins for breakfast at one of the dining rooms, like I said, where they just serve you breakfast. And just like Marissa was saying, for their included like Taste and Savor, I think you said, they are a drink, entree, appetizer, and dessert situation at dinner and stuff. But for breakfast, we would either plan to meet like, oh, hey guys, we're going to meet at 8:30 and go to breakfast together because you all have to be there to get seated. Or we would just skip, or we would get room service for free. I think that's pretty much it. Or we would stop at the Cafe Promenade when we got our coffee, just hop over there and grab like a little pastry. Really easy.
Okay.
For lunch on most days, on port days, we would skip lunch. Like if it was not a Royal Caribbean port, because you have to buy your own food on the island. So we just like eat breakfast right before and then eat dinner right when we got back on. But if we were on the boat for lunch, we'd go to the Windjammer Cafe or Windjammer, whatever, and get buffet food. And then for dinner, like I said, every night we would meet at 5 at the dining room and do our seated dinner, which was a theme every night, which was really cute, like Caribbean theme, and all the food would be themed, or like Taste of France, which was cute. And then for snacks, we would just go to the Cafe Promenade or the Windjammer and grab like snacks or dessert. And that was like our regular rotation.
I would think mine looks a little bit differently than yours, just because we did have so many port days.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Every morning we would start like at the buffet for breakfast, just because it had like the largest variety of options, and we would just go there. We could like walk through like a normal buffet and then sit down, and we would do that like right before we get off the boat. Every day that we weren't on the boat, so except for our day at sea, we ate lunch in whatever country and city we were at, so we could try the food there.
Yeah.
And then when we got back onto the boat, we would always go and get dinner at like Taste, Savor, the Manhattan Room, like one of those dining rooms. Or sometimes we would go to like Hands, like the bar and grill, and we would sit there and like have a seated, like plated dinner. Yeah. And sometimes we would go to the buffet, just depending on like what we were feeling. Sometimes we would go to the buffet first, walk through, and if nothing like was calling our name, then we would go to the other places and see like what the menu was that night and what we could choose from.
Yeah.
And then any like snacks that we wanted, I feel like we went to like Hands, because we only really ate like late night snacks, because we would like eat when we were off the boat.
Yeah.
And then we would like, if we were staying up late until like midnight or something, we would go to Hands like really like late at night, and we would get like fries or something.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I did get a late night plate of fries. That's a mood.
It was so good.
That's funny. Okay, well, we already talked about food upgrades and like what we paid for and what we didn't. So I think we can be done with the food section and move on to our pros and cons because we have to go, you guys. We have to go film something special.
Yeah.
For pros and cons, I thought we could both say our cons first and get them out of the way and then talk about our pros. So
that works.
I will go quickly. My cons were seasickness. I said this wouldn't stop me from doing another cruise, but it was definitely not fun. I only had seasickness for like 1 or 2 days, which is good because it was a 7-day cruise. And Dramamine like saved me and it was amazing. So thank you for that. I said some night noise. So like I said, we slept pretty well. And my other con is that there were no windows in the room. So again, pro and con, I guess. But the one thing is, the junior cruiser curfew was 1 a.m. for kids under 12. Their curfew is 1 a.m.
We didn't have a curfew for anybody.
Oh my God. I was like, this is crazy because we would literally go to bed. We would be asleep and I'd get woken up at 12:30 in the morning to kids screaming and doing cartwheels down the hallway. And I'm like, that's a little annoying. Like, I'm not going to complain that much because it is what it is. But I thought that was a crazy curfew for kids 12 and under. And then anyone else can just be out, I guess. However, or maybe it was 17 and under. I don't know. But I was like, damn, that's late, 1 a.m. So there was some night noise. Like, our room wasn't well soundproofed. But otherwise, there was not a lot to complain about. I was pretty happy.
For my cons, I said too much to do, which is like a pro and a con.
Yeah.
I feel like there was like so many events going on that I didn't know what to do. And we were going like during like fall time. So they even had like a trick or treat night because you were there on
cute.
Halloween. And like they had like dress up nights
right.
for like Halloween. They had like movies going in our
Yeah.
atrium is what ours was called instead of the promenade. And we would sit like in the atrium, and that's where you had to meet before you got off the boat. So like sitting there was like so many people like sitting there. And I think that was a con because not a single person knew how to be quiet and listen to an announcement.
Oh my God.
Like even like the 65-year-olds were like
rough.
speaking over it. And I was like, I don't know what group I'm in and I can't hear them announce it. And I want to go to this country. Please be quiet.
Right.
So that was like my biggest cons is like people not being respectful of the announcements, even though they told you to be respectful of the announcements. And there was just so much to do that I like didn't know how to allocate my time when I was on board. Yeah. So like sometimes me and Kyle did find ourselves just like sitting in the atrium waiting for an event to start, which was totally okay. Yeah. But we also, because the weather was weird and like because there were like a lot of kids, we didn't really want to go into like the pool. So sometimes we would just like go and sit by the pool and like I would read a book and he would play on his phone, and it was just like that kind of thing. Like we would just like go away from everything, which was good, but it was just like weird because we didn't know what to do.
I think that's one benefit I found of going with like another person, I guess, that wasn't us, is that we all knew kind of what, like one person would say, oh, I really want to do Taylor Swift trivia. And then we'd be like, that does not really sound fun to us. So the two girls, the daughters, the teens, they would go do that by themselves. And then one of us would be like, I really want to see Karaoke Superstar because I really like these performers. And it was just like, there was so much going on, but each of us was like, oh, let's look at the list. Oh, I only really want to do this. And it was easier almost with a group. I think if it was me and Angela by ourselves, I might have been a little more like, there's too much. I'm not going to go to anything because there's too much. I'm overwhelmed. So it was nice to be with like another group because we were more decisive that way, I think. So that's interesting.
This is another like pro/con. We did meet people like the first night that we spent a lot of time with. Yeah. And the reason I say it's a pro/con, Kyle really enjoyed having another group of people to talk to, and I really didn't want to talk to anybody the whole time. And like we talked about this on like the cruise, like we spent a lot of time even like at ports with them, like traveling and seeing the countries with them, which Kyle really enjoyed, and I really didn't want to do because I was like, this is a honeymoon. I'd rather spend all of my time with you, and like I just felt like we were sharing our time a lot with them, and I didn't love that. But it was still cool to like be able to like share that experience with somebody else, and I totally understand like why Kyle found it so enjoyable and like why other people would do it. But I typically, if I'm going on a vacation, especially like a honeymoon, I would want to be completely alone, like with the person I'm there with. And that's just how I am, like vacationing. I don't love doing it with other people.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. My pros, I wrote all inclusive is great because you didn't have to think about stuff or plan stuff. That was the best part to me. I didn't have to think about where should we go for lunch? How much is it going to be? Like, you just go. And like Marissa was saying, there's literally so much to do at all times. It felt good to not have to plan stuff because you guys know we're planners, and it felt good to let that go. I was like, oh, it's a real vacation now. My second point was that there was always an activity going on that you can go to. So for me, that was a big pro because I'm like, okay, I don't ever have to be bored or sit in my room and be like, I don't know what's going on. I always have an option, which is really nice. I wrote short stops in locations as a pro of cruising just because you get to see a lot of places. I will say that the port days for us were kind of short, I felt like, and that might be standard, but it was like you get there at 9 a.m. and you have to be back on the boat by 4 or earlier. And we would get on a little bit earlier so that we don't have to worry about the boat leaving you, because it will. So I don't know, that's a pro and a con, I think, but it was nice to see a few places in one trip. And then I wrote a pro for us is that I didn't feel like ours was overly packed full of people, which was a huge pro. I was worried about that, and I felt like it was a good amount of people.
Yeah, I think that they did just like overfill our boat a little bit because
honestly,
there was people like on that boat that I just heard over talking, and they were saying like, oh, like I've been on this boat before and it hasn't been this full. And we went cruising during like off season. So like October is like the start of off season for cruising. So I was hoping that it would be like a little bit less packed. And just because like, I guess the location, the time and everything, like that's what people wanted to go. So it just seemed to be kind of like pretty big, and it seems like a lot of people are getting like good deals on this cruise too. Like a lot of people are getting like 50% off or like things like that. So it just seemed like it was like the cruise to go on. But my pros were there was very few onboard costs. Like we didn't have to really pay for anything, and if we did need to pay for something, like we could go to the shopping and like we were able to like buy like Advil or something because Kyle like had a headache one day or like and we hadn't packed it because we hadn't like prepared for that. And like buying extra, I think deodorant, like one of us ran out of deodorant on accident, and like we just had that available, so it was nice to have it there but not need to pay for it if you didn't want to. And then we got to see so many locations. I call it like the sampler vacation because we were able to go everywhere and like see places we would want to go again. And I think that was like an amazing pro of like being able to see everything.
That's so true. I liked, and I am curious if yours was the same way. We should have talked about it at the beginning, but when we boarded, we went to our room and found our luggage at our room because they take it from you off the port. And then you get your sea pass. Do you guys have a similar card? Like a little card you wear?
No. Well, we had a card that we had, but you didn't like wear it, and it wasn't like you had to have it like on you at all times.
Interesting. Really. Okay, so we had a sea pass. I should have put this at the beginning because I feel like it's interesting, but for Royal Caribbean you get a sea pass and you don't have to wear it, but everyone does. You wear it in a little lanyard on your necklace or whatever, and you have to scan it to get off the boat. You have to scan it to get back on so that they can accommodate you, but also it's your main thing. So if I wanted to buy a drink at a restaurant, I just scanned my sea pass. I never had to have my ID on me because that said I was over 21.
I guess that's how ours worked too. I just like you would scan it to like get a reservation for dinner, or you would scan it to like pay. Yeah. And they would like check your card to see like what you were allowed to have off of the like menu, because there were some things like you couldn't have off of certain menus. Right. And ours also worked as our passport. So we didn't have to take our passports with us when we got off of the boat. But that's because all of the countries we went to are part of like the European Union. Yeah. So we didn't need to have a passport to be there after we were already in Europe, if that makes sense.
Yeah. We did take our passports off the boat at all stops that weren't Royal Caribbean owned. The Bahamas we didn't, but that was another thing. It's like you were allowed to be in the country without a passport because you came from the cruise, but if you get left there, or if you get injured there, or if you get kidnapped there and you don't have your passport, you are stuck there. So we took our passports off the boat, but ours, it sounds like you guys, we had the same thing. The sea pass I liked because it was like you never have to carry your ID, so you don't have to worry about losing your ID on the boat, which I thought was really nice. But then also like we had 150 onboard credit, like I said, that we used for drinks, but also one day they had big sales at the shops, which I assume they always do during a cruise, but they had these like beach cover-up pants that were really cute and flowy see-through black pants, and they were $4. So I was like, oh cool, and I just put them on the sea pass. I just paid on sea pass. It's so nice. So yeah, I liked the thing of that card. But anyways, we have to wrap it up. So what are our thoughts on cruising? Would we cruise again? That's the question.
I would definitely cruise again. I really want to do a UK cruise where it takes you to like,
yeah, that'd be cool.
Like England, like Ireland, Northern Ireland, Wales, Scotland, like everywhere like that. Sometimes they'll even go to like Norway and like Sweden.
I would love that.
And I think that would be so fun. And I really, really want to go on one like that.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. I would for sure cruise again as well. I had a really fun time. I know that we could cruise even cheaper than what we did because our cruise route or whatever, our locations, that's always cheaper in like fall, like September, October. You can go like for almost half the price of what we paid, which is really cheap, and it's still all inclusive. So I feel like I would love to try to find one that's like cheaper, I guess, and not during prime time. And I've said this before, but I'd really love to cruise with family, like Angelo's, like our side, your guys' side, whatever, of the family or whatever. I just think that'd be so fun. I don't know if you'd have fun though, since you were saying you like to not vacation with people. I get that. But I'm like, that's something I would love. I was kind of more like Kyle, which is surprising for me, I think. I feel like you wouldn't think that about me because I'm usually like, I'm anxious. But I really liked being with family, and I liked it because you can go separate and then you just all meet for dinner. It's like a capstone of your day. It's just all meeting for dinner at once, which is really cool. So I would totally cruise again. I loved it.
Yeah, I think I sound so cynical saying that I like don't want to like cruise. Like, I don't want to like vacation with other people, but like
that's
I don't know.
That's just get away.
Yeah, that's what I've like thought my whole life is. Like I'm going on a vacation to get away from things. I don't want everybody following me, and like I'm doing this like especially like if it's like an anniversary trip or something. Like I don't want anybody else there because like it's us like celebrating us.
Yes, I agree. We never have done anniversary trips like with anyone because I feel like that doesn't really make sense. But yeah, I agree. But yeah, I love just being with family, and it does make it a different kind of vacation, I think. However, I think the reason I liked it is because when we go on a vacation with a family, I am the planner. I'm planning everything. I'm planning the driving, the flying, the whatever. So being on a cruise with family, I'm just like, I'm not planning it. Have fun, guys. Like, yeah, so I did like that aspect. That was nice.
Yeah, that's another reason I think is like I feel responsible for them if I'm going with people, and like I don't want to be responsible for anybody. I am on
anybody's
vacation.
Fun. Yes, exactly. Anyways, okay, guys, we have to wrap it up. Sorry that if this felt a little rushed at the end, but we have something very important and it's at a certain time, so we have to go. So follow us on Instagram, stay up to date with us, at We Run on Coffee on Instagram, swipe up on Spotify and vote in the poll. Have you ever been on a cruise? That's what I'm going to ask today. And I think that's it. We're going to go. Stay tuned for next week because we're about to record something so special, you guys. I know I've said it 100 times. I don't care. It's going to be awesome. So stay tuned for that. And with all of that, I'm Arika.
And I'm Marissa. And we run on coffee. Bye.
Bye.